I'm stealing that.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order a special meeting of the Montgomery County Legislature. And clerk, can we have a call or a roll call, please?
Chairman Peck.
Present.
Legislator Isabel. Joe, are you on the line? Legislator Patel.
Here.
Legislator Kelly. Legislator Sweet.
Here.
Legislator Diamond.
Present.
Legislator Headwell. Legislator Headwell. He's
Present.
Legislator Wilson.
Present.
Legislator Duchessis.
Thank you. Legislator Diamond, can you please lead us in our salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as stated at the beginning of the public hearing, the statement of the purpose of the meeting is resolution number 106 of 221. Resolution canceling in whole all interest, penalties, and other charges on certain Greater Mohawk Valley Land Bank properties. I'd like to propose, oh, I'm sorry, do I have a sponsor? Legislator Diamond, do I have a second? Legislator Patel. Discussion. I would like to propose an amendment to this resolution, and we will be adding a third further resolved clause that reads as follows. Be it further resolved that 3 Ann Street, 11 Ann Street, and 63 Center Street shall exclusively be canceled in whole of any interest, penalties, and other charges on these land bank properties through July 30th, 2021, with this cancellation being contingent upon payment being received for the taxes for each corresponding parcel as calculated by the Montgomery County Treasurer being paid in full by the close of business on July 30th, 2021. Do I have
I'll sponsor
to sponsor the amendment? Do I have a
I'll
second? Legislator Wilson. Discussion. Legislator Sweet.
I plan on going along with this resolution tonight, but we got to keep in mind that 11 of these properties were conveyed back in 2018 and the rest in 2019. As the county treasurer said, the onus is on the property owner to pay the taxes on time. There are ways to grieve your taxes, and if you do and they're not adjusted properly, that's your responsibility to make sure that they are done properly. And in October of last year, actually 11 of these properties came before the board, and the real property director found that there were no anomalies. So we voted to waive that at that point. So I'm going to support the resolution, but in the future, we really need to put some teeth into these resolutions. I know all these resolutions basically say that, contingent, we give these properties to land bank contingent on them getting it back on tax roll within a year, which some of these have not, some of them have been demolished, but correct. So that's my point, that we really need to put some teeth in the future if we do convey properties again to the land bank. Thank you, Chair.
Legislator Sweet, your comments are profound, and I agree with them 100%. For us to have to come down this road more than once is redundant and exhausting. So thank you for your comments. Legislator Pertel.
I just want to confirm, did we receive the check put into escrow?
The check is for 22 of the 25 properties,
Thank you.
excluding the 3 that were just mentioned in the amendment. Any further discussion? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions?
Pass.
Now let's vote on the resolution as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Pass.
Thank you. A motion to adjourn. Legislator Sweet, Legislator Wilson. Special meeting is adjourned.
Anybody? Is that you, Connie, where my house is today?
Cody.
You go look at that yet? Thank you. You gotta do it on the wheels around. I had a hard time getting it. No, I've seen it. Well, I couldn't turn my leg enough, there's another hatch that would get in. No comment. Not that you've ever been there, right?
Legislator Sweet, Legislator Wilson.
I'll go down here.
Bob, are you gonna start?
Oh, yeah, let me get, can I get into there? Let's see. You ready?
Yep.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. Welcome to the Economic Development and Planning Committee. Time is 6 o'clock. We have a light agenda today. Is there any discussion? I'd like to discuss something just real quickly, just let you know that we recently, for years, we carried on the books a loan from the Economic Development from the county. I believe it was around $900,000. And recently it's come to light that when the Economic Development sells a property, that's when we receive a payment. So my understanding now is that there'd be an adjustment for the property for the DPW garage and also pending properties for sale. So it'd be good to see that go to the bottom line.
Yes, Legislator Pertel, aware of that, and I think we'll be seeing a resolution next month in that regard, leaving about a $570,000 balance on the 900 and moving our collateral security over to phase 2 of the project.
Right.
Yes.
And also, if there was an event where we had a solar project or something like that, the income from that would go to the county.
Yes.
So,
Glad you're happy about that, because I am too.
glad we're on the same page.
Yes.
So we have a resolution scheduling a public hearing, Montgomery County Agriculture Micro Enterprise Program, Office of Homes and Community Renewal, Economic Development Planning. Do we have a sponsor?
I'll sponsor.
Mr. Diamond, legislator from the town of Florida. Second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? We'll move that to the full board. Is there any other discussion? Have a motion to adjourn at 6:05. Who's on this committee? Roy, legislator from the town of Florida. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Mr. Diamond.
call to order the Health and Human Services Committee. Voting members of this committee are legislators Kelly, Jesse, Isabel, and Bertel. Privilege of the floor for legislators on the committee or all legislators. Hearing none, we'll move on for the resolutions. Resolution amending the 2021 operating budget and authorizing the county executive to enter into an additional contract with Calderwood. Looking for a sponsor.
Cheryl, you got me here?
Yes, Joe.
I'll sponsor.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Chairman Pep and Legislator Patel. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, as it pertains to our whole collection of resolutions here this evening, there's about 4 of them that are looking to go into appropriated fund balance, this one included. And I did mention that to Executive Ossenfort off the record last week. And, you know, something we've tried to avoid as much as possible, but obviously out of necessity we have to do some of these things. When I spoke about this one, you know, given it's the largest one contributing to that, I think there's like 132,000 coming out of fund balance with 4 resolutions here this evening. I just wanted the executive to expand on this because I believe this one is one where we may expect reimbursement of some kind because of the nature of the expense being COVID related.
Yeah, so this one is an absolute no-brainer. As I said that to you guys, we did get the guidance on the federal, I guess, stimulus funds, and this is a direct cost. This is absolutely going to be covered as part with that funding. And right now we're working on, as you've directed, to find a way to prioritize and make some sense of it and put some recommendations forward to the board. But again, we just got the guidance. But for the purposes of this resolution, we fully expect this to be paid for 100% through the COVID relief funding, which this is a direct COVID cost that allowed us to do our clinics. So what do we want to do?
Legislator Patel, you had your hand up first.
I'll say is, you know, Calderwood did a great job. They were very well staffed at every event that I was at. I think when we started, it was 70,000 that we started with. So can we get a breakdown of what the costs were associated with that so we can better understand?
Sure, and I would say into the future, I would expect this to flatten out. We're at the tail end, and not tail end, I should say, but more towards the end of the game than the beginning of the game. And there was a lot of unknowns, especially when we put up the first resolution, what it was going to be, but then we can definitely put together a little bit more of a breakdown for you.
So,
Because that goes for all their staff and the retainer.
Yes, continue. Legislator Patel.
Legislator Patel.
Sorry.
so stay in your lane.
Agreed.
So is this 70,000 bringing it up to date, or is this 70,000 planning for into the future?
Planning for the future.
If I could get a breakdown.
Yeah, and we've been going basically month to month because we just, you know, just haven't.
We don't know where it's going.
Exactly, you know, and but we do, when the bills are paid, there's a breakdown for what the retainer is, and then any additional costs from that is basically folks that they've hired to provide the service that are independent contractors on their team.
Sure.
And we don't have the capacity to run vaccine clinics without their support and assistance because I don't have paramedics or EMTs on staff. So that's the biggest part of what they assist us with. And we also with this have the capacity to run vaccine clinics simultaneously. So for example, Thursday evening, we will be hosting 2 vaccine clinics simultaneously at 2 of our schools. And we will be doing so again tomorrow. So without this support, we can't do those clinics for the community.
They did a great job and they're very professional.
further discussion?
Chairman, can I just say, thank you to, for a good job done by the department.
Thank you, Legislator. Legislator Pep, or Chairman Pep, I mean.
I'm both. You're right.
You don't get to vote twice.
No. This calls to mind another thing at this point in time. This probably marks the first resolution that we've begun to spend the 9.5 million, let's put it that way. Are there, because it's not really reimbursed, it's going to take away, you know, I mean, reimbursed means you don't have to use your own money. This means we're going to be using money that's going to be gifted to us. Is somebody going to keep track county-wide of, like the treasurer or one of his assistants, every resolution that we begin, you know, where we say, well, this is going to come out of that money, this is going to come out of that money. I realize most of the time we hit that money, it's going to be for figures much larger than this, you know. But I'd like to think, since we're starting out, beginning to use that money now, that we have an accounting, a running accounting of how it's being used, not only in public health and mental health, but, you know, across the footprint of all our departments.
Yeah, absolutely, and, you know, we're still in the very beginning stages, and the only reason that this is even being discussed now is because it's such an obvious use and an immediate need. I don't expect any resolutions coming up in the very near future related to appropriating any of that funding in this year's budget. Sean has just done the paperwork to accept the money. It's going to take a couple weeks after that to actually get it. And in the meantime, we're working on putting together some recommendations and then, you know, a handout for you, for the legislature to ingest and digest, provide some feedback, and then we'll take it from there. But we will keep track, but I don't anticipate a whole lot of issues on this going as we go forward.
And I hear what you're saying, and your words are very comforting.
Okay.
However, I just don't want to lose track.
We won't.
You know what I mean? Across the board. That's.
Yeah, when we have Sean and his team in the treasurer's office, as well as our special project coordinator, who just gave me a memo today on his take on the guidance and, you know, possible uses and, you know, so he is dedicated to that.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
We were out in front of an accounting of how this was getting used, you know,
Absolutely.
from resolution to resolution. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Move on to the next resolution. That resolution will be moved to the full legislature. Next resolution, or resolution supporting the consolidation of vital registration districts between the town of Canajoharie and the village of Canajoharie.
I'll sponsor.
Sponsored legislator Patel. Second, legislator Sweet. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. That resolution will move to the full legislature. Resolution amending the 2021 operating budget, requesting additional funds for indigent veteran burials from Youth and Veteran Services.
I'll sponsor.
Legislator Patel, second, Chairman Pett. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions. Resolution, that resolution will move to the full legislature. Resolution amending the 2021 operating budget, OD2A grant carryover funds. Looking for a sponsor. I'll sponsor. Looking for a second. Chairman Pett. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. Resolution amending, that previous resolution was moved to the full legislature. Resolution amending 2021 operating budget. PHEP grant carryover funds. Looking for a sponsor. Legislator Sweet.
I'll second.
legislator Patel. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. That resolution will move to the full legislature. Resolution authorizing county executive to sign section 4410 3-5 preschool program service provider contracts.
Sponsored.
Sponsored legislator Patel, second legislator Sweet. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. Resolution amending the 2021 operating budget and establishing a mental health education coordinator position. As some of you know, my daughter and I are big proponents and big advocates for mental health, so I will be glad to sponsor this legislation. Be looking for a second. Legislator Kelly. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. That resolution will move to the full legislature. Resolution authorizing the county executive to sign agreements for services approved in 2021, social services. Looking for a sponsor? I'll sponsor. Looking for a second. Chairman Pep. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention. That's the final resolution under Health and Human Services. Looking for a
Legislator, sorry to interrupt, Sarah, would like to make a topic.
Director Borrego.
So I have a letter that I wanted to give each one of you, and I just wanted to read quickly. As you know, this has been a very trying year for public health, mental health, the county, and those of us here. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you as a group collectively for your support to our public health department. The past 430 days have been, as I said, trying and difficult on our staff. However, I've also seen the ability for those involved in this pandemic to work together and achieving common goals in the health and safety of our residents of this wonderful county. I've had the pleasure of working with some of you, Legislator Kelly and Legislator Patel, had the pleasure of sitting in my conference room for several hours putting together flu kits that were distributed with Meals on Wheels and to some of our veterans and throughout the county. And it was amazing, and people have called our office to thank us, just to check on us to see how we're doing. Legislator Headwell has called to make sure that I'm okay several times, Legislator Isabel as well, and those of you have reached out to the county executive just seeing what we need and to make sure that we are moving forward and getting what we need. But tonight I really wanted to make a special thank you to you for allowing Cheryl Reese to use some of her time to help our department in making phone calls to those folks that will only answer the phone when Cheryl calls because they see my name pop up and they decline. Cheryl has been able to get folks who were very hard to reach appointments to vaccine clinics. She's brought them masks, hand sanitizer, thermometers, food. She's really done all of that and helped me and our department and done it with a smile and without complaining, even though she's had reason to complain sometimes. She's the clerk of the legislature, but to my staff and I, she's an honorary member of the public health department, and we thank her for going above and beyond her typical job duties.
And our applause for the public health department.
Oh, thank you. So just in closing, I just want to say, the partnership between the various levels of government, the executive's office, the legislator, and all of us as department heads, we truly embody at this point in the year our slogan of made of something stronger. And I'm so proud to be able to work with each one of you and to know that as our legislators, you are continuing to work for our county. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Legislator Patel.
So, Sarah, a very humbling experience working with your group, and your staff has done a wonderful job. All the staff in the county, all throughout, has done a wonderful job. You know, I don't think we ever backed down from any issue that we had to do with COVID. Everything, sometimes there might have been some chaos with some things, but, you know, it's an unexplained phenomenon. So thank you and your group, and Matt, and Eric, and everybody that works for the county, all the legislators, and even our clerk, who was there every time when she was needed. So thank you.
Anything further? Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Legislator Kelly, I will second it. All in favor, say aye.
6:20.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Roy, watch my lips.
Yeah.
I'd like to call Physical Services Committee to order at 6:21. Any discussion on the floor? See Eric's here. If not, I'm going to move on to this resolution. Resolution establishing 2 motor equipment operators and 1 trainee positions of Public Works. And I see you had that money all allocated previously, so I'll sponsor it. Looking for a second.
Second.
Let's put it down. Okay. All right. All in favor? Opposed? We got a vote?
Discussion. Treasurer Barrowman, do we need a budget amendment for this or no?
No,
Okay.
sorry. Actually, you would need it because you have to move it from one title to another.
Okay.
I can have that amendment ready for the full board.
Could we do it to transfers for the current year or no?
No, because you're establishing.
Okay, great.
Line.
So
I
that,
can make it I can have Cheryl make it part of the resolution to go to the full board next week.
yeah, why don't we do that instead of having an add-on, which we're trying to avoid. So, okay, thank you.
So do we want to move that to the full board? I just wanted to say something.
So I think this is a great idea. You know, the lack of having full-time truck drivers. I know Eric has had a tough time filling these positions. So I think this is a great idea. Thank you for thinking of it.
All those in favor of moving it to a full board?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right. So moved. All right. Anything under other? Any other thing to discuss? Motion for adjournment? Legislator Sweet? I'll second it.
All right, we'll call the Education Committee, Government Committee to order at 6:23. First item on the agenda is privilege of the Sheriff Committee members or legislators for any discussion. Anyone have anything? Sure.
I have breaking news. Fort Plain baseball team is winning 17-0.
Like number 800.
And Coach Phillips' 800th win,
What are they?
bottom of the 5th.
No mercy rule.
Those are good odds. Any other discussion? Now we'll move right on to the resolutions. First resolution is a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign a 2-year agreement related to the transportation of election results. Board of Election Committee sponsor.
I'll sponsor.
So Tell, second, legislator Diamond, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried to full board. Second resolution is a resolution authorizing the county executive to execute amendment number 1 of the 2021 agreement with Soil and Water amending the 2021 operating budget. Need sponsor? Legislator Pep, second. Legislator Wilson. Discussion? Matt, you want to?
Sure. Yeah, this is something we've talked about a whole lot over the last few years, and I've actually talked to a number of the various legislators about really bringing in an expert, someone to really focus on economic development with a focus on agriculture, and in talking about it rather than putting it into the economic development office where
here, we really felt that it'd be a more appropriate fit to do it through soil and water. So that's why you do not see a position there, because it would give soil and water the ability to look to hire someone this year and then, hopefully continue them on. Also, with what's been happening at exit 29, we really thought that that could be a help as far as, trying to, if we have one successful business there might be some ancillary outcomes, and it just could be something to focus on. But as we all know, agriculture is a big part of the county. Oftentimes, it's a very tough issue. There's not a whole lot we can do, but I think from a marketing perspective and having someone that's focusing on that, boots on the ground, and that's their sole purpose, is something that in my discussions, I've seen that there's a lot of support for it, and just thought it was a good time to move forward with it.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained? Anything under other? Not any motion to adjourn?
Motion.
That's what I'll second it. 6:26.
I'll call the Budget and Finance Committee to order, 6:29. Discussion of the committee. I don't have for you tonight, I do have the numbers for you, but I don't have them on a sheet for you for the sales tax. So if you guys want to write any of this down, you can. This time we collected $2,084,405.78. Last year, to this time, this is the same time period, we collected $1,409,867.32. So we have an increase of $674,538.46.
Could you repeat that?
$674,538.46. Now remember, on the sheet, there's always two groups. Okay, the second group, this time it was $536,402.93. So it was $536,402.93. Last year, the same time period was $313,469.10, showing an increase of $222,933.83. So for this time period alone, the grand total is $897,472.29.
Legislator Headwell, is that, I know that chart, how that works. Is that through the?
That's just this one alone.
I know, what's the cutoff? Is it the first payment through May? I mean.
No, if you want to take all and everything together, we have an increase of $1,610,166.10. So 1610,166.10.
And that is through what period, sir?
That's the whole
I know, but
That's year to date?
year to date.
But I know he gets tax payments twice a month, is it?
And it's both payments in May.
Okay, thank you. That's what
Sorry.
Thank you.
But I'm going to jump to the dashboard reports at the same time, because you look at that as being, we're ahead with 1.6 million. And then if you go to the dashboard and you look at the revenue year to date, previous year was 41,490,768, and year to date we have 43,768,980. So that's an increase of 161,000 from last year. But if you go down to the expenditures, last year we had spent 26,134,931. This year we've already spent 27,531,528. So if you look at that, where we are, it doesn't. You sure subtract the two. That's 1,396,597 over from what we were. So I mean, it looks like we're bringing in a lot more, but if we stay with this, where we're going, we're not going in the right direction. So we have to kind of keep track of our spending and that kind of stuff, so. Sean, you have anything to say on that, or you totally disagree with, because we've had some bigger payments or anything like that, or?
This last month, it was a statewide increase for most counties. There is some concern countywide that there may be some reconciliations in New York City. So the likelihood there may be some negative adjustments. To what extent, we don't know yet, going in the next couple months. I just want to caution you that there may possibly be some negative adjustments based on reconciliations with New York City.
And where are they affecting us on this dashboard? Are they detracting from our revenue or adding to our expenses, and in what category?
What it would be is that the more revenue we receive, the larger the distribution to the municipalities are.
So it's coming out of our revenue?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a same percentage loss. If you lose the revenue, you don't incur that expense either.
Right.
Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, the resolution. First resolution adopting introductory law B, a local law establishing a recycling fee.
I'll sponsor.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Go ahead, Legislator Patel.
In light of our current financial situation, with the increase of our fund balance, with the increase in our sales tax, with the $9.5 million increase or COVID relief money, I'd like to think that we could take a year and address this, and rather than address this quickly. Just again, the city of Amsterdam is going to be hit with a $40,000 increase. They just came off a $67,000 increase a year or two ago. And I would rather proceed cautiously and do some more work on this than I would automatically just say, look, actually those numbers have to do with tipping fees, but the same has to do with recycling fees. I'd like us to take the time and think about this and look for other avenues to handle it. I think that we're in a good financial position right now where we could do that. I think that our fund balance, and I was always the one who complained about using fund balance, but our fund balance increased significantly. I think now is the time to cut these municipalities some slack. And in the meantime, take more time to figure it out.
Sean, go ahead.
I respectfully disagree with Mr. Patel. I don't believe we should be paying the expenses for the municipalities. We're not looking to cash in on municipalities. We're just asking them to pay their fair share. As you all know, we do share the sales tax with them. That's a huge revenue source for the municipalities. So I don't believe that we should be funding their garbage disposal and their recycling. Thank you.
Ryan?
There's a couple ways to think of this. You got to remember that as a county taxpayer, you pay a portion of your taxes go to the county, a portion of it goes to the towns. A lot of these townships have already set they've all set their budgets, and to hit them with a 7-month increase, they're going to come up with that money someplace in their budget. So I've often said this, the pot of money that's collected is one pot of money, regardless if it's coming from the county, if it's coming from the town, it's still coming from the taxpayer. So whether the county funds it or the town funds it, it's still the same dollar that I paid for my tax. So I would at least, I mean, I agree with Legislator Bertel to let's delay this until the end of the year, at least to give the municipalities a chance to put that into the next year's budget. It's just, and maybe by then we'll find a stream for recycling.
Sean? Go ahead, Sean.
Like I said, the problem you have with what Mr. Sweet just said is you're dealing with two different fiscal years. If we wait till the end of the year, then you're right in the middle of the city budget year. So you're gonna have to decide one way or another, if you wanna do it at the beginning of the city budget year, or do you wanna do it at the beginning of the
Which is where we're at right now.
Yes. And I'd be happy to cut them 6 months worth of relief and start with the other budgets January 1st.
Legislator Diamond?
I just had a question for Sean. Is this still the lowest rate around compared to other counties?
This is, like you said before, this is the first time since we taken over the operations of the transfer stations that we're being charged for the transportation and disposal of recycling. We're being charged the fee of $72.50 per ton.
Oh, okay.
And that's what, we're just passing that same fee to the municipalities that bring in, the thing. Just for reference, for a full year, it's about 5,000 to 6,000 tons. That's countywide of recycling. So to say it's a huge hit for all municipalities for recycling, it's really not. A lot of municipalities only have 20 to 30 tons a year of recycling.
Okay, that's where I was confused, so the recycling part and the other tipping fees.
Yeah, right. We're discussing the recycling fee right now. So
Okay.
that's what I'm referring to.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yes, and that's what I want to clarify here myself. Legislator Patel, in his anxiousness, put the cart before the horse and started speaking more specifically about a resolution to come and not the one in front of us here.
But including.
But including it. We have to keep in mind, as Sean says, our garbage operation is a break-even operation. And there is data that we can talk about when we get to this other resolution that we specifically designed to show how it's going to impact every municipality, if it's going to impact them at all, as it pertains to the tipping fee potential increase. This one, in and of itself, is new. It's a new charge for us. We're simply passing it on. As he indicated, we do something not all counties do, split our sales tax revenue with them. You know, I also caution us that we can't sit here fat and sassy and say, okay, we got 12.4, we got another 9 coming. You know, let's beat Daddy Warbucks for another 6, 12 months for all these other municipalities. All we're doing is simply passing on a cost that we are incurring. We're not making any money on it, whether it's this one or whether it's the next resolution to come. And, you know, the one that's going to be the hardest hit on the next resolution is going to be the city. And it's going to be about $40,000 extra dollars, but we'll talk about that when we get there. And they're getting money too. You know, they're not getting what we have, they don't have what we have, but I don't think it's our obligation to carry other municipalities' expenses just because we're in a better financial position. That's my opinion.
All right.
So when do we get to see those numbers?
They were all sent to you last Thursday in an email with the dashboard reports. That I don't know that anybody realized you had, but
I studied, but I can print it.
so they were sent out last Thursday, so that you guys had time to ingest them and digest them. This is my favorite thing to say before this meeting.
Sean?
I just wanted to bring up the thing what Chairman Pop just said. You gotta realize, yeah, the county's getting $9 million too, but every other municipality is getting money from this COVID relief too.
And the sales tax too, Sean?
Like I said, they're benefiting on the increased sales tax just as much as we are, so.
Thank you.
As sales tax increases, the towns and villages and the city benefit from the increased sales tax.
Thank you. Administrator Coe.
What is the annual tonnage on recycling, Sean?
What's that?
The annual tonnage on recycling?
The last couple of years, it's been between 5,000 and 6,000. That's about
Over
that
6,000.
amount to the transfer station.
One thing that if the tonnage for recycling is less than garbage, this might be another incentive for the other municipalities to do a little bit more recycling because they know that this is cheaper and that's what they need to get the residents to start doing it. So they save money that way. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is that, like the village of Fultonville, their recycling going to the landfill, they pay directly. Some other municipalities, it's part of their contract that they already have. So it's, with the haulers. So we can sit here, we can make deals or help one group, but I don't think we're going to be helping all because who's going to make out better would be the hauler that's already charging one municipality for recyclables, and then they go to the transfer station and they get rid of them for free. They're taking the money that they just got from that municipality. And the same thing with garbage. They bid it. Some of them, when you go to some municipalities, when their garbage goes, the municipalities bill directly. Some, the hauler pays for it. That's part of the bid. And that's how it was done. So, we can sit here and do this, but somebody's going to make out better than others, with how it's done.
Eric, when the recyclables are taken to the transfer station, are they separated or they just get dumped in that bin and pushed into the truck?
Depends on how they come in, legislative speak. Some bins come in, with commingled, and then it gets sorted as it gets to the facility out west. But most of the time, 99%, they come in, the trailers are separated there on the floor and they're hauled out. But you get some that is commingled, from local municipalities that's out of our contractor's control, I guess, the floor.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just curious, and I'll ask Megan because I'm pretty sure she could pull up the memory. What was the total cost of the recycling contract that we approved?
The total cost.
Yeah.
I think it was the same exact amount that was in the local law of 72.
We charge $72.50 per ton.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do we expect recycling to cost us for the rest of the year? Do we have a ballpark figure on that if we don't do this?
At 5,000 tons, it's 362,500. At 6,000 tons, it was like 430 or 450,000. And then I guess if you put that in perspective, if you use that under half a year instead of the full year, you'd be talking $180,000 to $200,000.
200.
I think the big point that we all have to remember is we have a huge increase in sales tax. The way the sales tax is distributed, every municipality is making out from that increase in sales tax. So what we're doing is by not, if we do this, they're still going to get the increase in sales tax, but then we're going to be getting another bill. And I think, and I don't think, and if we were making money on this, if we were making $1 per ton or $10 per ton, something like that, I'd say it's a whole different thing. This is a pass-through. We're not making a dime. And if we set the fee and contractors don't like the fee, they can find a cheaper place to go take it.
Well, that pertains to the next one too.
But the recyclables the same
Yeah,
thing.
true.
They don't, if City of Amsterdam doesn't like the $72.50 a ton, and they can find a place to get rid of it for $50 a ton, tell us,
Well, another valve, excuse me if I could. Are you done? I'm sorry. Sorry. As Chair Peploff says, I got excited. If you look at the municipalities that deliver directly to the transfer stations, that represents, I'm going to use trash figures here, but it probably corresponds with recycling also. They bring in about 20% of the tonnage. So even if we brought that, now if you took the 6 months, brought it down to $200,000, and then multiplied that by 20%, now you're talking about a $40,000 difference for us at this body.
You talking about the recyclables?
I'm using the numbers from the trash, which probably correspond percentage-wise to the recycling.
Is there anybody in the audience who does this for a living who can confirm or deny that claim, as in the commissioner or the treasurer? Is it safe to assume that recyclable tonnage is the same proportion as garbage?
For example, I got the recyclable. In 2020, City of Amsterdam delivered 546 tons
Of recyclables?
recyclables. Charleston 41. Town of Florida was about 74. Town of Mohawk 63. Palatine 42.
We're not talking big numbers there. That's why it's hard to compare it to the garbage, where we're talking about 55,000 tons, and how that's divvied up among 11 municipalities.
But those are the only municipalities
That
that
recycle.
pay directly
Right.
for it. All the other municipalities that have contracts, that's part of the bid process. So we could forego those 5 municipalities, but how do we go back and help all the other municipalities, because they've already bid, it's already been bid out, so that person who's bidded, that ABC refuse service, is the one that's making the money, because they've already charged all the residents. They're gonna go to the tip and say, I'm gonna dump 10 ton, I'm not paying a dime for it, but I'm collecting money from all my customers.
And your point exactly exemplifies the fact that, yes, we're talking junk on both resolutions, but that's the only thing there. These are 2 separate and distinct resolutions.
Legislator Patel.
So the city of Amsterdam delivers directly, the town of Amsterdam pays directly, the town of Charleston pays directly, the town of Florida pays directly, the town of Glen does directly, the town of Mohawk does directly, the town of Root, the town of St. Johnsville, Canajoharie, Fonda, Fort Johnson, Fort Plain, village of Fultonville, Nelliston, and the village of St. Johnsville. So it's not just a handful. And if you go to the ones that do not pay directly, you have town of Canajoharie, Minden, Palatine, Ames, Hageman, and Palatine Bridge.
But that's garbage, that's not recyclables.
It's
They're the same contractor.
All right.
You know, they'd be picking them up, so it'd be the same.
So I rest.
We don't have, we
Discussion.
don't contract for garbage.
Recyclables?
Recycling, yeah.
Any other discussion? Yes, Sean?
From a goals perspective, if we're gonna take this approach going forward the rest of the year, that it's only 100,000 when you get down to minutia, it's only 50,000, you're gonna get requests every month. Oh, it's only 50,000, we're getting 9 million. Oh, it's only 100,000, we're getting 9 million. This is gonna escalate, and you're gonna have more requests for funding than you're gonna be able to handle. You can't have the thinking that, oh, it's only $100,000 for a grant, right? That's absurd.
I think the other thing we have to remember too is if we don't have any fee for recycling, what's gonna stop all the contractors from coming in and dumping? They know it's free, they're gonna go where it's the cheapest place to go.
Because what I'm recommending is not every contractor, I'm saying just municipalities that currently have that on this list.
ABC Recycling or ABC Garbage, this thing, they go around, they pick up all kinds of recyclables, then they come down here to this village, they pick up in this village, they go to the transfer station, and the person at the transfer station says, where did it come from? They say, the village of Fonda.
So that's fraud.
You're gonna go through the truck and go
Actually,
through it?
the guy that used to be in charge of solid waste in Montgomery County actually did that, and actually followed county waste trucks in the past, so it is possible. So I'm
not saying it's any contractor, I'm just saying it's a possibility that when you open the door up for free, they're gonna find the cheapest place to go.
So again, I'm not being rude, I'm done. I'd like to move on.
Matt?
So I would just offer my take on this. I think while they are separate and distinct resolutions, I do think the decision-making for both of them do come together because what you do with one will have an effect on the other. So if both are not acted upon, you know, we're looking at, okay, 250, 300,000 for the year, and then we're running a deficit, that could add up over the year. And so it's just something to be mindful of, you know, one resolution and the other, you know, there may be some decision making based on what the other one is doing, but we are going to have to charge and get these prices right at some point. We cannot continue to operate at a deficit.
Any other discussion? All in favor of moving it to the full board? Aye. Opposed?
No.
Any abstentions?
Did it pass?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't.
Joe is muted, I just want to make sure that. Deb, can you have Legislator Isabel unmuted? Legislator Isabel, the vote was on that resolution. Are you good with moving it to the full board?
Okay, next resolution authorizing an increase in solid waste tipping fees at the county transfer station. Have a motion or a sponsor? Legislator Diamond, second by Legislator Kelly. And go ahead, Legislator Kelly.
So, we're negative $5.42 roughly, right?
Correct.
Last year, 2020, we were negative $4. 2019, 7.9, but is that before or after we increased it to 82? Because in 2019 is when we increased it.
Correct. 2019 was,
That'd be a hybrid.
yes,
The hybrid.
it
So,
was in June of 19 we increased it
Yeah.
from 850.
Which didn't take effect till July.
so $8. Why are we only going to increase it to bring it current for this year, only to know that it's going to go negative next year?
Addressing one year at a time. And if you want to address 3 years, I can give you this. Well, the reason we can only do it 1 year at this time because our contract for operations is expiring this year.
It expires
So
this
in the
year.
next month or two, you're going to see an RFP go out for the operations. And that's going to potentially determine what we may have to do next year or different.
And also, I think we're also doing everything we can to try to keep it down. And there is some hope that, you know, we did have some additional conversations about the RFP and maybe some other interest in the land, the transfer station, so.
And I think going forward, the fuel surcharge is only going to skyrocket even more. So we're still going to be a negative. Just a less negative.
Like, just for informational purposes, since the price of fuel has been going up, we have not been being charged for fuel charge up until about a few months ago. But now we are getting assessed a fuel surcharge, and I don't see it going away in the near future.
Do you have a recommendation, Mark?
I think we should do at least $6 because we're still negative, just increasing it $5. But still, it's going to end up running negative because the fuel surcharges they're only going to increase.
I mean,
Fuel's not coming down.
You can see the impact. I mean, that's why we had Sean do this in advance so everybody could get a look at it. It's, you know, the impact, you know, you you got 11 municipalities, 4 of them are not affected at all. The worst one is Amsterdam, it's 39.5. If we go up $5 a ton,
It's about 65,000 for everybody.
sorry?
It's about $65,000 increase for everybody.
Yeah, total. And, you know, proportionally, I mean, I know some of these municipalities have much smaller budgets, and we can say, you know, can Town of St. Johnsville afford 84 extra more dollars a year? I don't know. Can the Village of Canajoharie afford another $5,200 more dollars a year? I don't know.
I know the answer to that.
You know,
No.
but the reality is, you know, and Bob and somebody else stated earlier, we do this on a break-even basis. I mean, if the city of Amsterdam is unhappy with this, they can call the Fulton County and try and dump there at $60 a ton, or $65 a ton. And, you know, it's a break-even exercise for us. So if we lose business, it doesn't matter. So, yeah.
So, on that note, you know, what we're seeing is our raw cost for our subcontractors. Even at that rate, and again, I don't want to see this, I'm going to vote no, but you're not picking up any other overhead throughout the county. You're not picking up the supervision of DPW. You're not picking up a portion of our fees. You're not picking up a portion of the executive's fees. You're not picking up costs from the accounting and Sean's office. So, I mean, if you really want to talk about numbers, let's get the real numbers. Let's know what it really costs us, not just what we're being charged by our subcontractors. Because it's in business, that is no indication. Even if you raise it to $100, okay, you're still not picking up, in a nonprofit you would call it agency overhead. So you want to get real about the numbers? Let's really look into it and find out what it is and put an end to it once and for all.
Even if they make it worse?
It's going to make it worse.
I know. And so
but let's understand what we're doing. And let's not fool ourselves that this is it, because like Martin is saying, every year it's going to come, and you're still, and I know this is government, accounting is differently, but you're not picking up your cost. You're not picking up any cost other than your subcontractor fees.
But for somebody who is not in favor of it, all that sounds to me like is a stall tactic, that it's going to put it off. Okay, now it's really $100 a ton. We can't do that. You know, so I mean, what's the point? These are our direct costs.
Can I address that, please? It's presumptuous of you to say that, okay? And I can turn that around and say, well, that's another tactic from the other side, okay? This is not what it's about. This is about understanding really where we are, okay? If it costs $100 a ton, okay, then that's what the cost is. Let's not fool ourselves that it's $87 or $92, because we're not picking up our other costs.
And you vote for it then?
That's not the question. That's not the question. That's not what my discussion is about.
No.
Okay? And what I'm saying obviously isn't going to change that. So I'm not ignorant that I would know that would stop things. I'm just saying, let's be real about it and understand exactly what our cost is.
Sean?
To Legislator Purtell's point, like I said, the county doesn't charge soft costs for anything, so I don't know why this situation will be any different. The soft cost has never been included in anything that we've charged municipalities or anybody else for, so I don't know where this is coming from. Like I said, I think.
So, Sean, when you start sitting in your office and you start doing the sales tax, we give these municipalities, make sure you deduct the soft costs.
Yeah, that'd be like me charging a fee to process their sales tax payment.
Okay, so whatever way you want to put it, okay, I don't care whatever way you want to put it. I don't care how you address it, okay? Let's understand it, okay? That's my point. And if you don't get that, I'm okay with that.
What is that, Kelly?
What's our out-of-county tipping fee? I notice on this list every other
We
town.
currently do not take out invoice.
None at all.
Not that, I can't, not that we're aware of.
So we quit taking out-of-county when we got kicked out.
Okay. That was been a potential discussion moving forward, is possibly taking out solid waste at an increased rate, but we haven't gone that far yet.
And then you get back into the enforcement issue and a lot of the
I can tell you, when you go to the transfer station to deliver loads of stuff, they do ask you where it came from. You know, so, you know, every person that goes in there, they do say, you know, where is it from? What municipality, or where are you coming from? So, they, you know, what you tell them or what you do is what they are asking. So it's not like you're getting up on the scale going down there and the girl isn't asking that question. She does ask the question.
Well, it doesn't really matter. It's the same fee.
It's the same rate.
Right.
We've had some additional discussions with, as part of the RFP process and with some other vendors that are interested, depending on what the price would be, but we held off on making a decision on that until we saw how this discussion went. Because we didn't want to set a price or bring a resolution for a price, so we knew the prices could be changing, and we had the RFP there. We also did have a conference call with DEC exploring funding options for pulling waste out of the waste stream and composting and other, you know, best practices from other counties, and, you know, exploring those options as best as we can.
Martin made a suggestion at one point at putting in $6 per ton. I mean, we have another suggestion at $5. I guess I'll make the amendment that we put in $6 per ton.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the amended number? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstained? So as the resolution as amended, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstentions? Next resolution approving the abstract of audited claims.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by, was it Patel, second? Motion by Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? And the last, the resolution authorizing the extension of the last day of redemption for delinquent taxes.
I'll sponsor.
Was there?
I'll second.
Second by, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? And the last, yes, legislator Diamond.
Just, I should have brought this up under economic development. See Commissioner Meek here. I wanted to thank him for, I was on the bike path over the weekend, and there was 2 or 3 spots where the tree roots were growing in the path and raised it up, and we tried to avoid it if we could, but if not, it could be deadly. And those have all been repaired. It's nice and smooth now. Everything's really nice. So I just wanted to thank you for your work on it.
Very well.
And the last thing that's,
No, wait.
I just was gonna bring up the AAV.
Oh, perfect.
Okay,
Yep.
the AAV, go ahead, legislator.
No, go ahead, see,
I have nothing to discuss.
about the AUV?
No, I haven't, I just got it.
Oh, all I wanted to do, and then Legislator Patel obviously referred to this earlier. If you'll notice on page 4, our unassigned fund balance has grown from just under $6 million to $12.4 million from year-end 19 to 20. About a $6.5 million increase. You know, we know about 4 of it came from a sales tax increase, over our budget figure last year. It was maybe a little bit more, right, Sean? Was it 4.25? We had 30,500 and we ended up with 35 million, correct?
Correct.
All right.
We only get 60% of that, right?
We only get 60% of that, the expense increase as well, so.
Right. So, but the other part of it is, I asked Treasurer Barman when he told me this about 10 days ago, where do you think the rest of it came from? And, you know, I don't know if you did any research on that, but I just curious, and I did discuss with Executive Ossenfort. I think we did save some money on expenses last year.
Sure did.
With furloughs and what else was there?
Yeah, so the furloughs, as you'll see with Nicole, that was in the ballpark of $200,000 to $300,000 worth of savings. We also had a hiring freeze for a good portion of the year. I'm sure that had a big piece of it. And obviously with the lockdown, expenses were down in most of areas, but I don't know if Sean has anything in addition to that.
Just, like I said, if anybody wants a detailed report, I can give it, but just, I want you to make you aware that these are unaudited numbers, and the largest portion of this increase has to do with the appropriations not expended. The largest chunk was in DSS, which was over $4 million under budget on the expense side. So, of the 7 million, over half of it was DSS programs.
What programs? I mean, what expense categories were they?
The printout tonight is just in summary. I don't have each individual program, but.
Okay, I thought maybe Pete.
Legislator,
On that, a couple of years ago, we talked about looking at the foster children program. What was it? Something E program? 4E program.
Yep.
How is that going? I mean, does that have anything to do with this?
No, that was, we received additional federal funding for that in previous year's budget. I don't believe that was associated with this year. Maybe a little bit, but I don't think that was a big, I wouldn't say that was over a million. I think a lot of it was the reduction in expenses for a lot of the program areas because we're meeting with clients.
So have we seen the?
We've seen definitely a turnaround in the 4E program. No doubt.
So we've seen cash infusion from, have any estimates? Any estimates?
Off the top of my head, I know Libby did provide a report of what they were doing. I can get an updated one, but there was a backlog, so there was one time boost and then more steady from now.
Legislator,
I have something not related to that, so I'll wait until we're done.
anybody else for the, okay, go ahead, Mike.
So what is our plan so that we're not faced with the issue that we have a special meeting for in the future?
As far as the
Land
land
bank.
bank goes?
You know, I know legislator Diamond talks about, using the land bank so that properties don't continually come up on the auction block. Essentially, all those properties were on the auction block. We didn't do anything. How do we prevent that from happening? How do we, as a county that has bought into this, prevent that from happening? Making sure that it's on the right path, doing what it's supposed to do, living up to its mission.
I think one thing that we ought to look into is limiting the amount that we offer or negotiate or give to the land bank in the future until they reach a level of satisfaction with having closure on what they already have. Because it seems like that our frustration with the land bank for the past 5 or 6 years has been getting closure on anything. That's the frustration. Whether it's to secure the L'Enchant-Board building or West Grand Street building in Palatine, or whether it's transferring the property on Canal Street in Fort Plain. It subdividing it. I mean, the benchmarks are never hit. So I think that my feeling is I really don't want to support giving more properties to them until I'm satisfied with closure on what they have.
I agree 100%. But are you also talking about what do we do about tax situations?
But how do we prevent it from, continuing to be kicked down the road?
My understanding after just a talk with Colby in the hallway was there was going to be some new mechanism in place, and I independently verified this, but where regarding to the assessment process, and that was news to me. So I don't know, but I would say certainly clearing up what is currently going on is important. But the problem is, Martin, and I've dealt with this for years now to the point I'm exhausted by it, is you can't, there's no way to monitor it other than calling every assessor to follow up, and that's just not our responsibility. But now we find ourselves in this situation, and what do you do?
But why did they wait so long and wait so long and wait so long?
And again, that question, we could spend the next 3 hours with the multiple different answers you get from everybody, and then Sean and I are left to try to sort it out and give you information, and that's where we just finally said, you're going to come and talk to the board. Because I'm sick and tired of being the middleman and getting one story, and then a new story comes about, and it's been exhausting. So, I believe in the mission, I believe in what we're trying to do, but, like the other legislator said, it might be a good time for a pause and focus on clearing up the issues at hand, rather than adding on, because I know there's additional projects and big plans for the future, and
hopes and dreams are great. You need people to see it follow through.
Like the great saying, a dream without a plan is nothing but a wish, right?
Again, the secret is closure. We need to expect closure. We have to set up the expectation of closure. And if we don't have that expectation, I mean, we can't look over their transfers. That's their responsibility to make sure that it's taken off the tax rolls. It's their thing. And it's been very frustrating with them over the past year, especially when we finally brought this to a climax where we thought that we had everything set, and then we walk out of a room and find ourselves 6 months later saying, what just happened? So we have to set the expectations, we have to set the tone for it, and if they choose that they don't want to have a relationship with us, that's fine too, in my book. Okay, I fully support the land bank, but the minutia that we go through, that we've gone through, is unacceptable.
Sean?
Agreed.
It's fine and dandy for us to put a pause on things. The problem we're running into now is the land bank is going out and obtaining properties privately with taxes outstanding.
Yes, that's correct.
A couple of these properties that we just forgave the interest and penalties on, they acquired the property privately, either purchased it or was granted the property without any say of the county. So if I can see moving forward, if the county's going to stop giving them properties, they're just going to go out and buy them themselves.
How can they buy them without paying for the taxes in order to transfer the deed over?
You just don't get clear title.
Yeah, but how does that happen? How do you get clear title with back taxes on it?
You don't have clear title until the taxes are cleared up. And in their case, they don't care whether they have clear title at that point. There's some clearing that happens through the foreclosure process, but
Best way I can say is if there was an easy answer, it would have been done already.
Anything else? Well, I just think to Mark's point, there needs to be discussion on how to move forward, which was I mentioned prior to the resolution. I mean, my always idea of the land bank was for historic properties, then it got involved with auction properties, turning properties over to them. But I think we're at a point now where this is as much as we can do for anybody, really. And going forward, if they owe tax money, then they have to pay it.
You know,
set precedent.
Well, we look at each individual situation as it comes across our desk, so I don't really consider it precedent. I consider it that we got the most money we can for those properties right now without having to go back through the auction process and start over again, so.
I can say this much, Martin. I voted for this time, the next time the land bank comes forward, and they want a deal, it's not gonna happen, because you know, it's time that they make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, dotting the i's and crossing the t's and doing all that stuff. You know, we'll give them a break one time, but that's it. Legislator Patel.
I will say this, the land bank has done some good things. We have to give them credit where credit is due. They tore down houses that we've avoided the cost on. They split properties that were problem properties and affected 3 or 4 different people. And they've done that all throughout our jurisdiction. So, you know, kudos to them for doing that.
I agree. I think the land bank in theory is a great thing. My personal feeling is that the administration at this point right now is the problem, the whole problem. And until that changes, I don't think you're going to see this version of the land bank change at all, because it's just continually going to happen. Same thing. You buy the property, you own the property, it's your responsibility to pay the taxes. If you don't pay the taxes, you pay the taxes, period. But like Bob said, we gave him a break this time, never again.
Never again. Well, never do it again.
I agree.
If they didn't learn, you know, if they didn't learn this time, you know, it's their own problem. Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Legislator Kelly, Legislator Diamond, all in favor?
The land is good, guys.